All righty, we are live. Good to be here. I am going to close that there. And yes, we are still live, so that's great. All righty, it's just on 5, so I'm just going to give people a few minutes to jump on. I've got the chat open in the YouTube if you're watching us from there. And if indeed you have registered for this, you will receive the replays via email. All righty. So welcome, welcome. This week, we have been talking about how to discover the best of you. And if I do a quick recap, just got the workbook open here. If you haven't got the workbook, please do register or reach out and we can send you that. Day 1, we talked about what do you know? What do you know? And I must admit, when I first started this work in this self-development of, who we really are, understanding the laws of the universe, the laws of my being, I didn't know too much about who I really was. The fact that I was this powerful life energy looking for expression, and that if my life was not as I wanted it to be, which it wasn't, then I had everything to do with that. In my health, in my income, in my relationships, the way I spent my time, all of that came down to me understanding who I really was and stopping fighting for my limitations. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that today. So day 2, we were talking about how thoughts turn to things. And the science around that now is very loud and very clear. And really, I feel that we're living in an age now of consciousness. We've had the technical thing, we're going great guns with technical prowess. However, now I feel that it's doing a full circle and we're coming back to this whole awareness in ourselves, understanding that what we're conscious of is everything. Our mind is so powerful and we've been made that way. You are a human being. You have this amazing, powerful spirit of life, the being in you, and it's living in a physical body. And a lot of us have been brought up and trained and conditioned to believe that our physicality is the most powerful thing we have. And yes, we can intellectually figure things out, but there is so much more to you. And so discovering the best of you is very much a deep dive in. Okay. And so today I want to talk about believing. Last night I asked you to do some homework and thinking about your life and the way you want to be, like setting up a clear mental picture in your mind of the life that you're creating and the person that you want to be, want to show up as. You are already that, as we spoke yesterday. If you have a desire in your heart, like a real desire, I talked about how people have different things that they want. I have a daughter who sings beautifully. I have a daughter who is so musical, plays musical instruments, and is a beautiful, caring person. That's her. That's the desire of her heart, to show up like that. All of my girls are different. I'm different to them. We're all different. What's the desire of your heart? That is the life in you saying, hey, let's go, let's express this in the very unique way that is you. And so day 3, I called Believe It. So I want to ask you first off the bat, what are some of the things that you believe about you? There are lots of things you might believe about the world, and we can include that. Do you believe that relationships are hard work? Do you believe that money is only available to those that have done degrees? Do you believe that you're worthy of enjoying life? When you really sit down and take stock of what you believe, and consciously what you believe is one thing, I would have reeled off a few things that I thought I believed way many years ago, but now I understand that I had and still have beliefs that are very deeply planted in my subconscious. And those beliefs are being outpictured. They're being outworked. They're being acted out, because that is the seat of action, our subconscious mind. And so you would have experienced, like most people that I speak to, all of us experience times when we know consciously that we want to do something or we don't want to do something. And then we find ourselves doing the very thing that we don't want to do, or find ourselves not doing the thing that we are very conscious that we want to do. And so there's something weird about that, right? Why we do the things we don't want to do, we don't do the things we want to do. It's about our subconscious and what is programmed in there. And that's why self-development and the law of attraction is not just about thinking positively, thinking happy thoughts. It is simple, but it's much more than that. Understanding that you have a conditioning going on, and that will show you what your beliefs are. You're seeing it outpictured. I know I speak to a lot of you who would rather die than stand up in front of a group of people and speak. That was definitely me. Years ago, I would not be here doing this. And I wouldn't have spoken to you in an elevator. I wouldn't have looked up at you on the street. So I had a belief, many beliefs, deeply planted, that I was not worthy, that I was not confident. I believed I was not confident. All of us have confidence in us. You just may not be accessing it. I believed that, I wasn't good enough, or if things went wrong, that it was my fault and I should fix it. All of these beliefs that had been planted as a small person, and I'd been practicing those beliefs. And so one of the first questions I wanted to ask you tonight is, what do you know about beliefs? Like, what is a belief? I'd never really looked at that. And to find the answer to that question is, a belief is just an idea that I have repeatedly thought over and over. So even as a little one, I heard things like money doesn't grow on trees, and those people that have money are not nice. They've done something dishonest to become so wealthy. That was the sort of conversation that I heard a lot as a child and growing up. And so we don't think whether it's true or false or right or wrong. We just accept it. And we think it over and over, and we hear it over and over, and it gets planted. And so many of the ways I was living, and the same will be true for all of you, many of the ways that we are living, much of what we live out is connected to the beliefs that are very deeply planted. And so that's why we can actually look at our lives and say, right, my life is telling me something. It's giving me clues. It leaves clues as to who I believe I am. And so this whole topic of belief, can you believe that there is a best of you right now? And that best of you has more even on top of that. You know, it's like this beautiful journey. You get to where you think is the best of you, and then there's more. And so it never stops. The best of you is there, and it is looking to express this beautiful life expression with and through you. And you get to live that. You might believe that life's not meant to be easy. I want you to check in with some of the beliefs that you have and ask yourself, you know, even think back through your day today and how you started your day, how you stepped into your day, how you showed up. What did that tell you about what you believe about you? Now, I've put a quote at the top of the page in day 3, and it says, again, it's from the self-confidence formula in Think and Grow Rich. And I've edited it. I've got my own version based on that one, just taken out all the words that didn't make me feel good, negative words. I just wanted to leave it full of positive words. And so day 3 says, I am, through the principle of autosuggestion, persistently holding in my mind that which I truly desire, because I know that this causes it to be expressed by some practical means. Now, I'm not asking you if you believe that, and I can ask you if you believe that, but I can tell you that's true. And the science is there to prove it. When we persistently hold an idea in our mind, and through the principle of autosuggestion, which is self-suggestion, and I suggest something to myself, which is what I did in order to believe the belief in the first place, to accept it in the first place. I kept having it suggested to me. Our subconscious is very open to suggestion. Okay, and so when you suggest something over and over and over, that's autosuggestion, that's self-suggestion, and you do that persistently, you're going to plant that belief. Now, you might think, great, I've got a whole subconscious full of beliefs that don't serve me, and that could be true. However, the good news is, and this is what really started to excite me about this work, for me back then, a very insecure, not confident, full of shame and self-loathing, I was having a hard time showing up as a confident woman and trying to make my way in life. When I found out that I could change who I was excited, because until that point, I was nearly 50, and I thought I would have to live like that forever. I thought that was just my lot, and, suck it up and get on with it, princess. That's what I was thinking. And I was doing a pretty good job of that. But when I found out that I can actually start to uncover, get curious about what's in me and what lights me up and how I want to show up, and I can actually have that happen, and in fact have it happen with ease, because I was doing a little bit of that. I was doing the whole, right, gird yourself, get your courage mustered up and go in and do what you have to do, but it was really hard. And the whole time I was doing it, I was fighting against my body that was, not feeling comfortable in this. So I did not feel comfortable in my own skin. And when it came to speaking, I couldn't even ask a question in a room full of people, because it was like my throat closed up. So when I say to you that your body is an instrument of your mind, that's exactly what I mean. And like I said, there is so much science out there to show this now. So we can confidently know that what was written in this self-confidence formula years and years and years ago is now proven. And so I'll read it again, and I read it in the present tense for me, and that's why I want you to read it from your book. I am, through the principle of autosuggestion, okay, suggesting to myself, I am persistently holding in my mind that which I truly desire, because I know that this causes it, that which I'm holding in my mind, to be expressed by some practical means. That's the truth. That is the truth of how we operate. And so you may have been using the principle of autosuggestion to fill your mind and your subconscious, and indeed the expression of what you're seeing in your life may have started from you saying things that don't line up with what you want and who you want to be. And you're doing that because you don't feel good. Just like if someone walked into your room right now and let out a whole load of abusive comments and derogatory statements about you, that's not going to feel good. So when you do that to yourself and you look in that mirror and you say what you say about yourself, that's autosuggestion. How many times a day are you doing that? Throughout the day. You might do something and not get it. It doesn't go well. And then what happens inside? And even maybe you speak it outside, telling yourself you should have, and you weren't good enough, and and on it goes. That sort of self-suggestion is filling your subconscious, and your body, being an instrument of your mind, then follows suit. And you step into every moment in line with those planted ideas, which have become beliefs. And that's how we're living. And as awful as that sounds, it's like, great, now we are free to choose and we know how to change this around. And so auto-suggestion, you can upgrade your beliefs, just like you upgrade your phone, right? You want to get an upgrade on the programming. That's what you're doing here. And you're in the driver's seat. Stop hanging around people that talk negatively about anyone. It's going in. Stop watching programs that are just talking about all the gloom and doom. Sure, there are things going on out there that are not great. But the less you think about them, unless it's directly related to you and you can do something about it, that's my motto. There's no point me getting emotionally involved in these activities and what's going on unless I can do something. The best help I can be to my fellow human is to be as positive and in an upward spiral of becoming as I can be. And so I want to choose what I let in repeatedly and what I get involved in emotionally, because that is setting up a belief in me. And so use auto-suggestion, self-suggestion, to persistently hold in your mind that which you truly desire. Why? Because it will cause the effect that you desire. It's a cause. When I continue to suggest something about myself and about my life and about what I can do, what I can't do, when I continually suggest that, it is a cause that has an effect. I want the effect to be the result of what I desire. And I've used this in my life in some incredible ways. And I know a lot of you who do work with me have heard these stories, but relationships, for one, you know, when you're in a relationship with someone, and I don't mean, or it could be a romantic relationship. This one was a family relationship where I wanted it to be better. And I just didn't know how that would ever happen. I'd done all I felt I could do. And even sometimes I felt like, oh, I'm just acting in the wrong way. And I didn't know how to change it. I couldn't control this person, just like none of us can control anybody. All I can control was my thinking. But every time I could see this relationship not getting better, what can I do? And then my very wise mentor gave me some very good advice. And it's exactly what we're talking about here tonight. I'm going to hold through the principle of auto-suggestion. I'm going to persistently hold in my mind that which I truly desire. And so I stopped mulling over what was, and I started thinking about what I would prefer. Now, it's not easy because it's not a habit. Our habit is to look at what is and mull over all the things we don't like about it and how we feel powerless to change it. That's what I've been doing. And it wasn't getting better, it was getting worse because my focus was on what I didn't want. But when I started to persistently, through auto-suggestion, hold in my mind the desire that I wanted, the outcome that I wanted, persistently suggest that, I began to feel like it's true. That's the thing about your subconscious. That's why beliefs get planted, because your subconscious will not throw back out and say, you know, that's garbage. It will only accept what you give it through this suggestion. It has no capacity to say that is not true, that is not good for you, I don't agree. It has none of that available to it. Only our conscious mind does. But as soon as you've accepted it in your conscious mind, be it what you want, or be it something that you don't want, as soon as you have accepted that, and that happens with the repetition and the emotion, then it's being planted and your subconscious will just accept it and then put it to work. It starts to be expressed. Whatever we impress in our subconscious will be expressed. Now, the cause will be the expression by some practical means. How do I know when I'm taking effective action towards what I want? How do I know that I'm taking effective action towards what I want? It's not about the doing. I don't know who's watching and what your life has been like. But when you think about all the things you've done, all the action you've taken, all the hard work that you've put out, and often you don't get the result that you want. Why is that? Well, purely and simply, it's because it's not about the action you take. Now, before you switch off, hear this out. We are physical beings and we will take action in order to achieve things. But the very, very important part of taking action is that it must come from a place of inspiration. So we've been talking about planting your beliefs about you, about what you can do, about the outcome, and accepting those things. When we accept it, we plant the idea. If I'm out there taking action, mechanical action, and it doesn't feel good, like I really feel like I'm just pushing it uphill because I don't have a feeling that it's true or that I can do it. And in fact, my feeling might be in the complete opposite direction. You know, you might be someone that plans events and you're planning an event and you're heading towards it, doing all the work, but deep inside, you don't believe that this is going to be successful. You can see the split energy there. Physically, you're putting out a lot of energy. Emotionally, your energy is in the opposite direction. And so effective action is not about the doing on its own. It is about the result that you're getting, which will be based on how you're feeling, the state that you're in. And that's why you've probably seen people who they achieve so much. They seem to just, everything they touch turns to gold with such ease. You think, how are they doing that? Well, it's not about their doing alone. It's about the spirit they bring to their doing. It's about what they believe about themselves, which is a feeling. Your beliefs reside in your emotional mind. You know, how do you feel when someone gives you a compliment? I used to be so like, oh, just, I did not know where to put myself. And I didn't know what to say. And I felt so uncomfortable. It did not resonate with me. I wanted it to be true, but I knew, I believed it wasn't. And so that's a very good first sign that, oh, okay, what do I believe about me? The way you feel is everything. It's an indicator of the frequency you're on, which says that's how I'm feeling. That's all I can attract is on that level. So your belief is everything. Now, you're not going to change it. See, I don't believe that anymore. I was about to say you're not going to change it overnight. But I actually believe that it is an overnight decision. I'm putting this old belief out and I'm taking in the new belief. And then you go to work with the auto-suggestion and you never pick up the old one again. So it does change overnight, but what happens is it strengthens. The belief strengthens. And it strengthens as you use it, that belief. And so it might be just like a little sapling to start with. And so, okay, it might not carry a lot of weight. You might not be able to really put your weight on it, but you can start to and let it build its muscle, belief muscle. And so in our homework, keep my eye on the time here. In your workbook, I've asked the question, what is a belief? And we've talked about that. A belief is an idea that I've repeated over and over. And it has been planted through repetition in my subconscious mind. It's been established and I don't question it anymore until I do. consciously, and then I can change it out. And so what beliefs do you want to plant in your subconscious mind? Now, you can plant any belief you choose. I would suggest that you plant beliefs that support the desires of your heart. Who do you want to be? Like, how do you want to show up in this world? You are that person. So plant the beliefs by autosuggestion that support you being that person, because you already are, but in order to show up and use this body, this instrument, to do it in the most beautiful, joyful, comfortable, ease way, then you must plant that belief. And that's a conscious choice that you make. So what beliefs or belief do I want to plant in my subconscious mind? And I've asked the question, why do I want to plant those beliefs? It might sound a bit weird, but I really want you to be very clear on what you want. Some of you might not know that I lost a husband when I was 22, and we'd been married nearly 4 years. We had 2 little ones. The youngest was 3 months old. And I made some very conscious decisions not long after that. If we don't make a conscious decision, everything will just keep rolling along the way it rolls along. Many of you have registered for this free training. Many of you aren't showing up on the Zoom, and that's fine. You might have registered just for the recording, just to do it in your own time. And I sincerely hope that you do that. Some of you might be like I was, where you just signed up for so many things and you didn't even do a third of them because you're just looking outside of you all the time for the answer, but you're never committing. You're never deciding that this thing I will do. So why do you want to plant these new beliefs? Get very clear. You know, this stops here. From here on in, this is me. Why do I want that? And I mentioned my husband's passing because we're not here forever and we don't even know how long we've got. And I, for one, know that every single day I want to bring the best of me right here, right now to that day. Because I do not want to be ever regretting, ever. That's an awful thing. I want to bring the best of me every day, whatever that looks like. And it will vary. Your best is different on different days, but just know that you're doing the very best you can, showing up the very best. And I had the question there, how do I know when I'm taking effective action towards what I want? Well, you'll feel it. You know, when you're in the flow and it just feels so good, doesn't mean it's, there's no effort going in, but it's less effort than when you're pushing upstream. You know your effective action taking when it feels like that slipstream. And so the homework, each of these days that we're together, there's been a quote at the beginning, and this one was, I am, through the principle of autosuggestion, persistently holding in my mind that which I truly desire, holding that in my mind, because I know that doing this causes it to be expressed in some practical means. Now, the homework page has the rest of that quote, and it says, because of that first quote, I am devoting 10 minutes daily to demanding of myself the development of self-confidence. Now, I love the word demanding, because you're demanding of yourself, not of anyone else. You are saying, this far and no further, I demand of myself because I have a desire for it. I do not want you demanding things of yourself that you really don't want. If you really don't want to do this training, don't do it. But if the longing of your heart is, this resonates and I'm doing this, then demand of yourself that you do it. Really, lock into your desire and let that be your guide. It's very, very powerful, your desire. And there'll be another training on that at some stage, I'm sure. And so on your homework sheet, and that quote, devoting 10 minutes a day. Now, you might not have 10 minutes a day. You might not start with that. You might be 1 minute in front of the mirror in the morning, saying something that boosts your confidence, saying something to yourself, auto-suggestion. You know, you might not start off with, I love you. I couldn't do that back then, certainly not in the mirror. But you might start with something like, you know, you're getting better and better at this. That is going to help your confidence. That's going to increase your confidence, develop your self-confidence. So I want you to commit to yourself to do something every day, whether it's a minute, 2 minutes, 10 minutes, every single day. You are on your to-do list to demand of yourself the development of your self-confidence, knowing who you are, because the world is waiting for you. There is no other you. There never has been, there never will be. That's how crucial this is. You're a part of this co-creation that we're all a part of. And so on your homework sheet, I've written a couple of regular activities. I want you to list these, a couple of regular activities where I currently do not feel confident. So I want you to become aware. What are some of the things I do daily that I'm not feeling confident in? You know, is it going to the gym and you think, oh, I feel so out of place here? Or could be, you might not be a confident driver. You might have to do something at work that you feel you're not confident in. Whatever it is, might be the smallest thing, you know, dressing up to go somewhere. You don't feel confident in that. I've got a great stylist. If you're after one, just reach out and I'll let you know. A couple of activities that you do regularly that you don't feel confident in. Okay. Unless you're feeling fully comfortable in your own skin in those things, put some things down. And the reason I want you to do that is because the next question is, what would it be like if I were feeling totally confident in these scenarios? Because you may have never thought about that. And like I said at the beginning, most of us find it so easy to let our minds run along the track of what's not good and what's not working and what I don't like. We're so practiced at that. But what if you took those scenarios and said, imagine being confident in those scenarios. Imagine feeling comfortable in my own skin. I spoke up at a national conference in Cairns a couple of weeks ago, and I love it. There was 300 people, 400 people, something like that in the room. I love it. Now, that wasn't me 8 years ago, not at all. But right here, right now, I have, yes, developed my self-confidence, and I am very comfortable doing that. In fact, I would go as far as to say it is something I absolutely love doing. Absolutely love doing it. So what would it feel like if you were totally confident in the scenarios that you're not at the moment confident in? Just let your imagination get to work. What would that feel like? What would it be like? What would be different? What would you notice? You know, I never used to take a lot of self-care, in a sense. I still don't wear a lot of makeup, but there were things, you know, like the way I did my hair or the way I dressed. It changed when my confidence was built and developed. So become aware of what would be different when you're totally confident in those areas. Just let yourself play with that. You will be amazed at what starts to change as you begin to think about those differences. And my final homework question, it sounds a lot, but when you see it, there's only 3 questions there for you to answer on that second page. What will I suggest to myself on a daily basis to practice this outcome? What will I suggest to myself, back to the auto-suggestion, on a daily basis to practice the outcome that you've just imagined? If I was confident in that, how would that look? What would be different? What's something that you could suggest right now that will just move you in that direction? Now, remember, it's a suggestion, not a demand. Okay, you can demand of yourself to put aside some time, but when you're changing your beliefs, it's a suggestion. Okay, it's a bit like, I always see it like a muscle in our mind. You know, if you go to do something really extreme with any part of your body, you're likely to pull a muscle because it retracts really quickly when you go to overextend it. And I feel like our mind is a bit the same. You want to go in gently, suggestively to your subconscious and just start suggesting so that it's just not noticing too much difference. Suggest, notice how you're feeling about that and just move it on in a beautiful auto-suggestion way. It's the repetition of it, not the forcefulness of it, the repetition of it. Allow yourself to become at ease with it, to accept it, to entertain it, to, take it on and take it in and start entertaining it. So that is us for tonight. These trainings are very short. I like learning that way, just small chunks, small little nuggets that you can take away and chew on, digest, move them on in. And then tomorrow night, we are on day 4. And we're talking, I've titled it Clearly Me, and I won't say much more about that because I think you've got a bit to do tonight, and I want you focusing on that. This whole principle of auto-suggestion is so powerful. It's actually the very basis of how we rewrite our subconscious. So have some fun with it. Don't be too serious. Be light about it and enjoy just getting to know you a bit more and starting to sculpt you as you would like to be. All righty. I cannot see any messages there or in this chat. However, we're back on again tomorrow night. And if you're in the Life Abundant Facebook group or in the YouTube channel, you can pop questions there at any time if you're watching the replay, and we will answer you. All righty. So have a great night. I look forward to chatting with you again, same time tomorrow night as we talk about Clearly Me.